Hey everybody, and welcome to the patch 13.07 preview, part 1. As a reminder to all of you, because this is our ritual, we have to do this at the beginning of all of these. These patches will be live in a week. They are not live now. This patch will be live in a week. Will everything in here be in the patch? No. Some things could be changed, some things could be added, some things could be different. Come back in a week and I will review the actual patch notes as they are released, as they will actually happen in the game. So, as you go into this, make sure to leave a comment on anything you're thinking about this, and let's keep all of us updated as to what's happening in our favorite game, League of Legends. So up first, we have Azir. Riot is attempting to do a kind of change to Azir. They want to change how he skills his abilities and stuff. His Q, I could read all these numbers, but the general idea is his Q will be worse, his W will be better. In addition, the damage per level on his W is going down, but the base damage on his W that you get for just maxing the ability is going up. So he'll be able to achieve more damage earlier in the game by maxing W, whereas you won't get as much damage by just letting the W damage per level, his W being his sand soldiers, by the way, and his Q being his ability that moves his sand soldiers. I know all of you guys know every ability in the game, but, you know, for those of you who don't know, let me try to be helpful. So his Q moves his sand soldiers. They don't want that maxed because that allows him to infinitely harass in the laning phase and is generally considered really frustrating and dumb to fight. So they're buffing his passive a little bit, buffing his W, buffing his armor and his attack speed growth to try to make him a little bit, not one-shottable in the early game. That's generally what they're doing. In effect, it does change Azir a lot. Like, it changes, Azir going from a Q max to a W max. But the reality is, okay, so his Q is going to be on a longer cooldown in the early game. Same by mid game. And his Sand Soldiers will do a bit more damage in the early game, but they'll have less mobility. It's not really that much, but yeah, you got to explain it to some people. Katarina is getting buffed. This is just a flat buff, nothing really special about it, but there is one part to it. The AP ratio from her passive is going up, and her damage is having its attack speed ratio way buffed, but its flat AD ratio nerfed. So if you build damage and attack speed, Katarina's ultimate will be stronger. If you only build attack damage, it will be weaker. If you build AP, it will be the same, but her passive AP is being buffed. It basically seems to be what they're trying to do is discourage you from actually just sitting on like a Divine Sunderer into an AP build, but they want things like Blade of the Ruined King to be buffed, and in particular, they seem to be pushing building actual attack speed and AD. Will we see actual AD attack speed Katarina? I don't know, probably not, but at the very least, you might see Blade of the Ruined King again come back. Who can say? Kallista's getting a buff. So Kalista is getting a buff where she gets more damage per level, but by such an insignificantly small amount that it basically doesn't matter. The real buff they're doing is at the start of the match, she needs to kill an ally and revive them, and then she can throw them with her ultimate, right? That's how that works. In case you didn't know that, that's how that works, okay? So they're doing is that ceremony lasts like 12 years. They're shorting it by 4 seconds. Yes, it lasted so long in the early game, like at level 1, right as you enter the game, that shortening it by 4 seconds is a significant buff. Because now Kalista will no longer be stuck reviving her ally. I think it actually takes, I swear to God, it takes 10 seconds to animate. And it means Kallista's team can't actually do much at level 1 because the opposing team will always beat them out of the gate to where they're trying to go. So that actually is a big buff for Kalista that hopefully means that they don't need to buff the rest of her kit. Graves is being buffed because we buffed every other jungler in the game. And as I keep joking, you guys who watch me a lot have probably noticed that these jokes keep repeating. The reason these jokes keep repeating is because I know it's people actually complain I make the same joke too many times, but at the end of the day, Riot's going to keep doing the same thing and I'm going to keep joking about them doing the same thing. So yes, here we are. Graves went from being the best jungler into the game to we buffed every other jungler, and now Graves is not the best jungler and is getting buffed. Why? Because we buffed literally every other jungler in the game. Shocking, I know. Riot is just leapfrogged. They've just leapfrogged jungler balance so much that now the former best jungler in the game is getting buffed. Yes, this is actually happening. Alistar is getting buffed because I'm going to be blunt with you guys. Alistar is bad right now, like really bad. I've tried to play him a few times, and it's good that they're buffing his base health and his base armor because my god, like he loses, like you play him 2v2 bot lane, you play like support Alistar, even with like hard engages onto like squishy supports, right? Like even with double stun engages, like you still lose. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like you'll be fighting like, I don't know, Lulu Ash, and you'll get a double stun into both of them, and you'll be like, yeah, and then like you'll lose anyway because they just walk past you and kill your ADC because you don't actually do that much, or they'll just kill you because you don't actually do that much. So they're increasing his base armor and his base health, which will definitely help. I think that'll definitely help his early game. I'm not really sure what else they could do. They could maybe try to reduce his cooldowns a little bit, maybe on his E. I'm not really sure. The problem, I don't know, like no one's playing Alistar, and I can just tell you, like I play him bot lane when I get autofilled sometimes. The problem is, like, you just hard engage and then you lose anyway. And there's like, Alistar as a champion doesn't really have a lot of subtlety. Like he doesn't have a lot of like different strategies he can employ, right? He can't be like, okay, my all-ins don't work, let's go for pokes, right? Like all he can do is all in. He's got the one thing. Yasuo is being buffed in a rather significant way. His passive is being buffed in the late game really hard, going from 475 to 575 in the late game. That's 100 more shield strength. And his E, that's when he's shoo through the minion. That ability is being buffed substantially as well. Right now, it does 25% bonus base damage per stack. So each time you jump through something, you get 25 bonus damage, stacking to 50%. That only applies to the base damage of the ability. It does scale on AD ratio. They're changing it to, instead of 2 stacks, it would now have 4 stacks at 15 to 25% scaling, total damage scaling. So even with the AD ratio, will also scale into this. That means his sweeping blade will do substantially more damage basically throughout the entire game. All you need to do is get it stacked up, and then it will do substantially more damage. That's actually a fairly significant buff for Yasuo's all-in early game, and also for his poke early game, because it means that Yasuo will be able to do a lot more damage on a burst, and it will do a lot more damage on a poke, and overall, it will just be a fairly significant buff to him. Remus, he's getting his armor nerfed. His armor percent on his defensive ball curl. Why? Because Thornmail scales way too well with bonus armor, and so now he needs less bonus armor because Ram is doing like 300 to 400 per auto attack back at you was bad for the game. Is bad for the game. I honestly think defensive ball curl should just be changed to percent damage reduction instead of giving him bonus armor, because the problem is he scales way too well with things like Thornmail. And as we keep seeing, he keeps using these giga armor buffs with Thornmail, and then he does 400 damage back to you per auto attack, and it's really lame. At the high ranks, it's not so bad, but like at the low ranks, and particularly for the purposes of like having fun in the game, he is not really that fun to fight, because when he defensive ball curls, you basically go, oh, I can't auto attack him. And you can run off and use abilities, and yes, that gives him counterplay, but it's also kind of like lame. Vigor is being nerfed rather substantially again. Riot is finally wised up to the fact that Vigor dominates the low ranks way too hard. While not really being that good at the high ranks, he's just way too good at the low ranks. So what they're doing is very smartly, they're trying to focus buffs onto his early game while nerfing his late game. That way he won't dominate the low ranks and will still remain viable at the high ranks. But actually what I said is a complete opposite of what they're doing for no fucking reason. They are hard nerfing his early game and hard buffing his late game. Why? I literally have no idea. I literally need to go look this up because my mind right now is being like shattered. I don't understand. Cause like I mean I'm not making these stats up. Like here's Masters Plus, Vigar, 50% win rate bot. Here's Plat Plus, Vigar, 52% win rate. Here's Vigar, all ranks, 54% win rate. So like it's just mind-blowingly clear. It's extraordinarily obvious, right, that he's too good at the low ranks and he's not good enough at the high ranks. So they're giving him a buff that helps him at the low ranks and hurts him at the high ranks. Like, what? Why? I sometimes I feel like Riot literally doesn't understand how to balance a game. Like from a fundamental level, they don't understand core concepts like high rank is early game, low rank is late game. That's just how they are played. So if you want a champion to be nerfed at the low ranks, you nerf their late game. But their buffing is late game and nerfing is early game. So like, yes, this will be a nerf in my opinion to every this will be a nerf to him across the board at every rank, because they're just nerfing his early game so hard. But it just raises a question of like, why? Like at the high ranks, his win rate will probably, from this nerf, his win rates are probably like 46%. Somewhere around there is what I imagine, right? But his win rates at the low ranks will probably still be like 50%. So then what do you do, Ryan? What then what do you do? As a company, like what do you do then when Viger is now utterly unusable after you get out of bronze? You're obviously going to buff him again, right? But then what? You fucked up his balance so hard, now what do you do? Be honest, now what do you do? I don't know. Like this is so stupid. It just... Oh, you want an example of a nerf for a champion that doesn't hurt them as much at the low ranks where he's not overpowered? Olaf. They're nerfing Olaf's early game. His early game attack speed and his early game Q damage are going down. Why? Because he's too good at the high ranks. At the high ranks, he's too good. So they're going, wow, we're going to need to nerf his early game, because at the high ranks, he's too good. Wow, shocking. Like this is why I'm saying like it doesn't make sense what Riot does sometimes. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. Like you can clearly see they know what to do to Olaf, but then when it comes to Viger, they're just like it's just like back to back. Like as a company, do you not look at these patch notes one after the other, one after the fucking other? Do you not notice one is wrong and one is right? What are you doing? I don't understand. Like it's so obvious to me. It makes me think like, are you not paying attention? Because like if you were paying attention, you would notice this, right? It's like if the walls are painted all blue and I ask you what color are the walls and you go, I don't know, I'm going to assume you're not paying attention to the walls, right? Like are you literally staring at the walls and just zoning out and you're just fantasizing about something? Or, I don't know, are you daydreaming? Because like you're reading through these patch notes. As a company, I'm assuming like you're like overviewing these patch notes. Like, yes. Why are we nerfing Viger? He's too overpowered at the low ranks. Why are we nerfing Olaf? He's too overpowered at the high ranks, right? Like you're looking at... Anyway, then we have Sejuani. Sejuani's getting her damage to monsters nerfed. She's getting her Q, that's her charge cooldown nerfed. And she's getting her ultimate cooldown nerfed. So this is aimed primarily at the high ranks to... kind of just overall reduce her power, particularly like in competitive play. They don't want Sejuani being like that. Vi's getting nerfed for nothing. I'm assuming they just forgot to put it there, or maybe she's just getting nerfed for nothing. Maybe this is an actual placebo nerf. Maybe they're just going to say Vi is being nerfed, nerf nothing, and people will be like, damn it, they nerfed her. Wukong is being nerfed. They're lowering his base damage. Didn't they raise his base damage, or am I crazy? I swear to God, Riot takes the same champions that have the same problem all the time with like their base damage, and then they just boo 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 boo. So I'm trying to look for it on my other monitor right now. I'm just looking for it. Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. Where is that? Maybe they didn't. Maybe they actually didn't do this. I guess they didn't. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Anyway, Wukong's losing some base damage. His W cooldown, that's his clone. The cooldown at rank 5 is going from 12 to 14 because shockingly, Wukong cloning into a Cyclone combo and then like ending that with a clone was considered really frustrating gameplay. Who knew? The attack speed on his E is also going down. So he will do less damage with less attack speed in the early game, and then in the late game, it'll be far harder for him to get to the second clone. Overall, I'm going to be blunt. This probably kills Wukong, but I'm going to be honest with you. I don't feel very sad over it. I don't feel very sad that Wukong is dying. My exact thoughts are no, not Wukong. No, that champion's so cool. No, Riot August made such a banger this time. No. Lee Sin is getting his attack damage nerfed. I actually looked this one up. He had his his attack damage buffed less than a year ago. So if you place your bets, on average, it takes Riot about 30 patches to buff and nerf Lee Sin's attack damage. It goes up, down, 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 and now it's going down again. So it'll go up again. Why? Well, let me actually show you this so you can realize how silly this gets. So here we have attack damage. So as of patch 12.11, his attack damage was increased. On 12.7, his attack damage was decreased. On 11.18, his attack damage was decreased. On 12.21, his attack growth was increased. On 9.18, his attack damage was increased. So this makes since season 9, excluding this attack damage growth, they have increased or decreased his attack damage 1, 2, 3, 4 times. That's 4 times in 4 seasons. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. No. Okay. So that'll be 5 times. That'll be 5 times in 5 seasons. Yeah. With this change, it will actually be 5 times in 5 seasons. So your odds are that if you guess how long it'll take Lee Sin to have his thing buffed or nerfed, you have a pretty good chance. You have like a 1 in 30 chance if you just blind guess what season next season it will be buffed back. Blind guessing it, you have about like a 1 in 30 chance. I hope I made myself pretty clear because it's pretty stupid, right? Then Lee Sin's also losing base armor, which I'm confused by. I don't think Lee Sin was like game-breakingly overpowered. I think he was a little bit overpowered. But to be honest, I feel like part of the problem is his ultimate is just too good. I think at this point they really need to consider reducing the stun time and the movement of his ultimate. Like maybe make his ultimate move slightly less and stun for slightly less. Because the issue is, as they continue to power creep damage again, Lee Sin tends to be overpowered again. I know, especially because they just buffed his Q damage because, you know, damage creep. Zeri's being nerfed. I said she was going to be nerfed. I promised you she was going to be nerfed again, right? Didn't I say that? I swear I said that. So her health growth is being reduced. The passive steal she gets is being reduced. And the AD ratio on her ultimate is being reduced. So she will be squishier, she will steal less shield, and she will get less damage on her ultimate. This, I'm going to be blunt, I would just remove the shield steal entirely. I wouldn't nerf her health, I wouldn't nerf her RAD. I would actually just say that's fine. Like, both those are fine. I think the problem with Zeri right now, in my opinion, the shield steal feels so shitty to deal with. It feels shitty to fight, it feels shitty to fight. It really feels shitty to fight. Like, the fact that she gets, like, I would just honestly, Riot, like, as a way to actually try to balance this champion, remove the shield steal, remove the movement speed she gets for stealing shields. Now, I know some of you guys look at Zeri's kit and, you know, you get really confused because it's really long. But, boo, 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 boo. Oh, God, where is it? Zeri absorbs the energy of shields. Yeah, okay. Whenever Zeri gains a shield, she gains 10% movement speed. I would honestly remove this effect entirely. Remove if she gains a shield, she gets movement speed, and then remove the shield steal. Because I think that just makes her matchups really cancerous to deal with. I know you're kind of on like a, no, enchantresses are bad kind of like shtick right now. But in my opinion, it's just... It makes her so unfun to deal with when you're playing a champion that has a shield. Like if you're playing Shen or something and she just gets like to steal your shield and then she gets tanky and then she gets movement speed. It's just really frustrating. I'm honestly fine with like everything. It's just like when that shield thing kicks up, it just gets really irritating. And I think that would make her matchups a lot more fair. Having random anti effects like that is really dumb. So Annie's getting nerfed. Her shield cooldown is going up per level, or I should say per rank. So instead of 12 to 8, it'll go 12 to 10, and then the base amount of the shield is going down as well. So Emax Annie is getting a really hard nerf. Why? Because Annie is overpowered. I'm not going to go into why. Like, we all saw this coming for a while. Thresh is getting his Q cooldown refund on hit reduced. See, they reduced Thresh's Q cooldown, but then because his Q it says refund, but that's not the correct way to phrase it. It's reduction, because you're not refunding the cooldown, you're just reducing your remaining cooldown. When they pushed his Q cooldown down, his Q reduction went, so right now it's minus 3 seconds. So his Q cooldown is currently 9. Reduced by 3 is 6. But then if you have ability haste, let's say if you have 33% ability haste and reduces Q cooldown to 6, it's knocking 3 off that if it hits. So effectively his 1.5 second stun Q will have a 3-second cooldown. Because they nerfed all tenacity in the game, this means fighting Thresh can often mean that you actually just don't get to play League of Legends at all, ever. In effect, it made him extraordinarily broken. I'm going to be blunt. I don't know how Riot didn't see this one coming, because this is why they nerfed his Q, because it was doing this shit. It's good that they're finally going back and adjusting it, but like, once again, this is something where I'm like, this shit should have happened so long ago. I literally don't know why. I literally don't know why it took so long for this to happen. Kha'Zix is getting a bit of an adjustment. The range at which people is isolated is going down. So instead of isolation being 425 range, you now don't need to be within 375 range of a champion to longer be considered isolated. So 50 less range on like the isolation range knockoff thing. You know what I mean? Then his W, the slow is going from 60% to 40%, and then if you're isolated, the slow is going down from 90% to 75%. Then his R duration is going down from 10 seconds, or sorry, going up from 10 seconds to 12 seconds. That's the amount of time you have to recast it. Not like, he can't stealth for 12 seconds, obviously. I'm going to be honest, this is overall kind of too big a buff. So the issue is, the 90% slow is completely useless. Completely. Because there's a movement speed, like there's a minimum movement speed you need. Like there's a minimum movement speed in the game. And 90%, you would need over 1,000 movement speed for this to possibly matter. At 75% movement speed, this means anyone with 400, it's like, Jesus Christ, I think it's 500. Only champions with more than 500 movement speed will be affected by this nerf. Which is none. Like that's like Hecarim in his E. It takes a lot of movement speed to get there. Now the non-isolated slow going from 60% to 40%, that one is pretty big a nerf. But I don't know. We'll have to see. But my gut feeling, my gut instinct is this will be too big of a buff. That's my gut instinct, but we'll see. I mean, to be honest, I don't think it'll really do that much. Like, even if he's overpowered, in my opinion, like he'll probably gain like 1-2% win rate. Off the top of my head, I don't think his stats are that ridiculous. Now, of course, we shouldn't balance entirely on stats, but Kha'Zix, also, I just don't like him as a champion. Yeah. Abyssal Mask is being buffed because it continues to do nothing, and Riot doesn't want to admit. So here's the problem, right? And I know sometimes you guys watch my videos, so like watch me when I talk about this, okay, please. The problem with Abyssal Mask is there's too much magic pen in the game, and magic resist is goddamn useless. The only time magic resist does anything is when it's force of nature. That is why the only time people build magic resist items are when they have more than just magic resist. Armor items giving armor are generally good-ish because they tend to do more than just magic resist. But then you have things like Abyssal Mask, and it's like, oh, you have infinite mana. Who gives a shit? Oh, you reduce a tiny bit of magic resist from your opponents. Like, it's so niche. It's so niche. Like, it shouldn't feel niche, but it is niche. A lot of tanks don't do purely magic damage, and the ones that do tend to need an item that's better than just magic pen, right? Because like it's never going to outdamage a Sunfire. Let's be clear on that one. It's never going to outdamage a Sunfire. I mean, at this point, you're just throwing so much health into the item that it might brute force and be viable off sheer brute force. That's the thing, and that's one way to go about it, to just brute force the item into being good. I think it's definitely a strategy, but yeah. Death Dance is being partially reverted. Here's my opinion. They nerfed the heal so bad. I don't think this is gonna matter. Not really. Because like at the end of the day, here's the problem. At the end of the day, they nerfed its healing like 60. They removed, no, it was like they removed like 70% of the healing. Okay, so it's getting reverted, so it'll have ability haste again. Its armor is going, so basically it's getting reverted. The damage is going down to 55 again. The armor is going down to 45 again, but it's getting 15 ability haste. To be very blunt, this affects very few builds in the game right now. Very few builds actually needed the ability haste. It's basically, the only builds that needed it were like the Stridebreaker, Distance Rush builds. So like Garen, Darius, those sorts of champions got affected by it. And I think it will help them again, but like, I don't know, like Olaf kind of gets helped by it too. I think the primary big issue here is that you nerfed the, like, Death Stance was not even overpowered, in my opinion. It really wasn't. It really, really wasn't overpowered. And it got nerfed. Now, it probably could have survived a little bit of a nerf, but they slaughtered the healing on the item. The item is so bad that even the best champions in the game for it, like even champions like Aatrox are just not building it anymore. Even champions who increase their AD and increase their healing just aren't opting into it anymore. Because it's just like, particularly when you compare it to Black Cleaver, like, the item would have to do so much work to equal the effect of Black Cleaver, right? And it's not just Black Cleaver, it's the fact that, like, you can get good ability haste on a Black Cleaver build, right? You go a Mythic, you get Black Cleaver, and you basically are done for ability haste. Ability haste has huge diminishing returns past 50 to 60. Now you can say, well, actually, mathematically, it doesn't. Yes, the math on the no diminishing returns only, like, works if you're sitting there spamming your abilities on cooldown forever with no break ever in between them. If you even wait for a split second, then ability haste has such a massive diminishing return, it's insane. So, particularly with a lot of champions finding their ability haste on Black Cleaver builds now, again, distance does affect you, though. I will agree. This makes it buildable again for some champions like Darius, like Garen, like Olaf, and I think we'll see a return from it in that category. Maybe we'll see Jax go distance again to get his ability haste. Like, I do agree, it definitely seems possible. But here's the other funny thing. This completely contradicts Riot's idea now, where they're like, Bruisers had too much ability haste, and now they're going back and they're like, yeah, give them back their ability haste. Oh no, because this is, like, I know you guys get tired of me saying this, but did I not say this was going to happen? Like, it's a joke. It's a fucking joke. The company's like, Bruisers have too much ability haste. We're going to nerf them all. And then like 2 months, 3 months later, they're like, oh god, they needed that ability haste. Like, top lane doesn't do anything anymore. Like, it's just like, no shit, guys. Like, why do you think I'm just playing other games on my Variety channel? Which, by the way, go subscribe to Hashinshin Variety. Yay. We play Variety games there every day now. But why am I doing that? Because, like, we're currently we're at the point, the last 2 patches are at the point where Riot is finally admitting that top lane doesn't fucking do anything. And they're trying to go back and, like, help them do stuff again. They're trying to assist top lane in getting back, and maybe I go back and we play some top lane after this, because, like, you know, it could be fun again if top lane actually is relevant, right? But, like, I see this, like, and I'm not making this shit up, but I see this is Masters Plus. Like, top lane, every patch is getting closer and closer to support. At this rate, if they don't actually start doing some drastic changes, because, like, you have to remember, they buffed Plate Gold, they buffed Dragons, and the nerf to Dragons didn't counteract the amount they buffed it, right? So they buffed Plate Gold, they buffed ADCs, they buffed Dragons, and they nerfed old Bruiser items. Like, top lane just doesn't fucking do anything, man. It just doesn't. Top lane just does nothing right now. And that's excluding the horrible meta that's in the game right now. And I'm not making this like a soapbox. I'm just trying to specify, like, why they're trying to do these Death Stance changes. Because, like, they're trying to go back and undo some of the absolute goddamn stupidity they did that's fucking up the game. And can we just appreciate that they're nerfing Olaf? And sure, Olaf, you know, honestly, I'm pretty much okay with these Olaf nerfs. Like, it's annoying, but, like, what are you gonna do? I think Olaf was primarily doing good because he just played really good into the meta right now. He beat up Kosante, he destroys Malphite, he can do really good into Jace right now. So I think a lot of his win rate just comes from shitting on people, right? Like he just shits on certain champions really hard. But like, let's look at this meta. Can we look at this meta outside of Kosante? And Kosante, like, I'm not trying to say Kosante is like like he's frustrating to fight, but you compare him to some of these other champions, and like, look at this Malphite is catastrophically broken and the #1 most picked champion in top lane. Motherfucking Malphite. Then Jace. Then Jax. And post rework Jax, he's not that frustrating. I put him about as frustrating as Kosante. He's like really annoying, but you can beat him, but like Jax is just really overpowered. Kosante chain stuns you, which is annoying. Jax is really overpowered, which is annoying. And that's just annoying. So annoying. Kosante's probably the least annoying. Then back to super annoying. Then Sion's fine. No problems with Sion. Great guy, Sion. Love him. Camille, really annoying. Darius is actually, I'm going to be completely blunt, he's probably the least frustrating champion on this list, which is actually hilarious. Actually, Olaf is probably the least frustrating. Well, it depends on who you play, I suppose. Darius, Olaf, and Jax are all frustrating, but to different champions. But like, the top lane meta just sucks. It just sucks, and it just sucks. So that's what's happening. Riot's going back and reverting some of the stupid shit they did to try to make top lane relevant. Grievous Wounds is getting a change where if you spell shield it, they still get Grievous Wounds did. I don't think that's a smart idea. I think that's really dumb, actually. Because, like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, if you spell shielded the effect, why would you get Grievous Wounded by it, right? It'd be like, if Jax counter-strikes your attack, he doesn't still get hit by Blade of the Ruined King. So, if you spell shield a Grievous Wounds ability, why would you still get Grievous Wounds? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's stupid. Catalyst of the Ions is also getting nerfed because mages were using it to be way too strong in the laning phase. So it's going up in cost by 200. It's gaining 75 health, but the idea is that they're going to push it later back. So you'll get it like later in the laning phase, which will in turn make it weaker. Does everybody get that? Okay, cool. That's it for this patch. It doesn't do enough for top lane. I hope they do more, but maybe next patch they'll do more. Right now, I'm on like a half break from League, I'm gonna say. Like, I'm still playing League every so often, but I'm at this point, I'm like really hyping up my variety channel because I just have more fun with variety gaming with like other games. I just have more fun with them. Like, to be blunt, I'm just having more fun with variety gaming. I'll probably run out of stuff to do and go back to spamming League, but for now, I've just been spamming variety games because top lane sucks. The meta right now is super cancer. Often, like, the thing is, I can play normally if you play like 5 hours a league, for a top lane, it's about average, like 60 to 70% of your games will feel bad. And I know you might think that's an exaggeration. No, I'd say that's actually like a good meta. A good meta has it where like 60 to 70% of your games as top lane feel really bad. But the current meta is more like 90%. So instead of getting like 30% of my games feeling good, it's only like 10% of my games feel good. In other words, you get, maybe if you're spamming League of Legends, you get like one good game every 6 hours right now. It's really, really unfun because if you get a game where you do good, there's a high chance your bot lane won anyway. And the reason you managed to do good is because you didn't get roamed on, you didn't get spam ganked, maybe your support helped you, something like that. So you'll have a good game, but then your bot lane wins, so then it didn't matter and they get crushed. Or you have a good game and your bot lane lost so hard that then you get crushed. Or you got camped while your bot lane loses. Like, it's all just bot lane right now. And because of that, like, it's so rare to actually have a good game. And with the meta being so trash, like things like Malphite counterpick, Malphite first pick, Jace counterpick, Jax counterpick, like there's basically nothing you can pick anymore that actually like feels good to first pick. And it's just really unfun. It's just, the entire meta is just really, really unfun to me right now. I do not enjoy it. So if you want to go subscribe to my variety channel, we can do variety gaming. Until then, I might play tomorrow. I might play the day after tomorrow. We'll see. But yeah, we'll see. For those of you who want to see this patch, we'll definitely get a patch review end of this week. I'm contemplating still, of course, doing game reviews, but you guys did not seem that excited about like game reviews as I was thinking you guys were, because, okay, but they didn't get any views anyway, so it didn't really matter at the end of the day, but patch views are good. Everyone likes patches. So here's a patch review. I hope you guys enjoy this patch review. I might do some builds or some sort of content. I mean, obviously I need to put more content on this channel if I'm not playing League. So I might do, just like type below, like what kind of content do you guys want to see, right? Like I'm basically open to anything at this point, right? So I'll see you guys tomorrow. See you, everybody.